August 17th. We'll go ahead and get started. Wednesday, August 17th at 6:30. We'll call the meeting to order. Roll call. All present. Tina is out of town. All present except Tina, I should say. Attest to publication.
I saw it posted.
Thank you, Joni. Approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Second. Go ahead, Shelley.
Motion made by Joni, seconded by Shelley. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Lori, district mission, vision, and values, and also our collective commitment.
Mission, Bangor Pride, a small school building big futures. Vision, an innovative small school creating excellence through personalized learning and relationships for all. Values, student-centered, small class sizes, continuous improvement, professionalism, opportunities for all, safety, foster community, and sustainability. As a member of the Bangor School Board, I will be an active listener who is open-minded, respectful, and inquisitive. Together with one collective voice, we are committed to forward thinking while strategically prioritizing for our students, staff, and community now and into the future.
Thank you, Lori. Public comment? None. Approval of the minutes from July 20th.
I move to approve the minutes from the July 2022 regular meeting.
A second.
Motion made by Joni, seconded by Lori to approve the July 20th regular meeting minutes. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. July 20th closed session.
Go ahead, Shelley.
I'll make a motion to approve the July 20th closed session.
I'll second.
Motion made by Shelley, seconded by Lori to approve the July 20th closed session. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Any special reports? Okay. Moving on to the board president's agenda. Wanted to take a look at the 22-23 regular school board meetings. Next month, I believe, we have a conflict and we would like to move the meeting from September 21st to September 14th. And I'll let David go ahead and talk about the rest.
Yeah, so there's just a couple changes that I know that we need to make as of this moment. So the September meeting, the 8/24 meeting, if the resolution is approved tonight, we can cancel that one. So that's the 8/24 meeting could be canceled. The October, November, December would be on their usual third Wednesday. January and February, if we could move to the second Tuesday, that would be appreciated.
Second Tuesday or Wednesday?
Excuse me, second Wednesday, thank you. So the second Wednesday. And then as I look at the calendar, there become multiple conflicts on that third Wednesday. So we had talked about, do we just want to move starting January 1st, all meetings to the second Wednesday instead of the third? If we decide to do that, we would take action on it in September to go into effect in January. There just seemed to be a number of conflicts on that third Wednesday. We moved a couple this year, and we still may have conflicts we still may have conflicts on the second Wednesday, but there are definitely 3 or 4 this year for the third Wednesday. So no action here, but if there's no other commitments on that, I'd actually bring it to the next meeting as an action item to permanently move our meetings to the second Wednesday instead of the third.
Thank you for the advanced notice so we can check out our calendars. Any other questions? All right. Committee reports. Goals Committee. Lori?
So we met last evening to go over some goals for 2022, 2023. It was Tina, myself, and Julie, as well as David, Rick, and Mike. And we'll be voting on those later, but really our discussion really focused around some of the PLC work and some of the additional things we want to do in moving more of that student learning again forward. So really they're focused on that, and then they're also focused, if you had a chance to read it, they're focused on promoting Bangor, and then really the bulk of it was really on the PLCs and moving them past where we've always been. We've always kind of focused on those first two questions and really getting into that third and fourth question and giving our staff the time right now to collaborate more in person, because they really haven't been able to do that for the last 2 years. And so that's where we can see some high gains. So that's what we discussed. I don't know, Julie, if you have anything else since Tina's not here.
We did talk that the goals committee will also meet a couple more times during the year, just to see our progress, to see the updates. That isn't something we've normally done. I think it was Lori's recommendation. Let's monitor, we know our administration is doing our work, the work. We don't mean that, but then we can share that with you. We can share it with the public, parents, whoever it may be. So thank you, Lori. Any questions about the goals committee? All right. Moving on to district financials.
Yeah, you'll see the financial documents there for your review. Angie and I touched base at the end of the day. Neither one of us had received any questions. All pretty straightforward. So if there are no additional questions, we would look to approve the financials as presented.
I'll make a motion to approve the financials as presented.
I'll second.
Motion by Lori, seconded by Lisa to approve the financial documents as presented. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. All right, district reports, facility study summary and resolution development.
Yeah, so I'll get us started here, and we've got Kevin with us again, who has kind of become part of the Bangor family, it feels like, this year, and at all our meetings. But I just wanted to make sure that we took a high-level view of the work that the district has been doing really all the way since November. We did talk about and kind of set the stage at our last meeting, our work sessions, that we are going to look to approve the resolutions tonight. But I thought it was really important that we review what we have done, where we've been, for those who are just tuning in maybe for the first time. And I think if we'd have had a bigger audience, we'd have taken more time with this, but I think we're going to go through this fairly quickly. And if people have additional questions, they can absolutely reach out to me at any time. And we've got a great link on our website with all of the past meetings and all those types of things that they can see the process the district has been going through to get to the point where we're looking for approval of some resolutions this evening. So I'm going to let kind of Kevin take it from there, and we'll bounce back and forth.
Good to be back with everybody again tonight, so thanks for having me. If you turn your attention up to the screen, as Dave was talking about, what we put together for your review is just essentially looking back to the 5th of November, if you can believe it or not, last year, 2021. Staff started their brainstorming relative to the potential facility assessment and planning process. And then we've really highlighted, certainly this doesn't cover everything, but we've highlighted kind of the major steps and milestones that took place in 3 phases here. The facility assessment and long-term planning, the feedback and refinement, and then as we step away from tonight, potentially the engagement. So it's interesting to me as I looked at it, you may recall you had 3 board workshops, and each one of the phases essentially led up to a board workshop. You've been very involved there in providing feedback along the way. And you'll see there's certainly a significant amount of both community engagement to get feedback and staff engagement as well. And I would say, pat yourself on the back because as district administrators and as board members, you've accomplished a lot throughout this process, but you've also dotted the I's and crossed the T's extremely well. I believe this is just something David presented to you last time around. He also presented to the community. Essentially is just a summary of some of the key things that are pointing to November 8th, 22 capital referendum beyond the assessment that took place, whether it be the legitimate facility needs that have been identified that cannot be accomplished within an annual budget. We've talked about that. The financial opportunity you have right now because of the debt that has been paid off on previous capital projects or is about to be paid off. You've got slow, consistent growth in enrollment over time here in the district. There is that pressure on schools to make sure they provide opportunities for all students in the time of school choice. And then, of course, as you know, legislation requires the district to seek community support for any additional spending. I'm not going to touch on these again. You've probably seen them in your sleep by now, but I did want to let you know all the slides that we previously presented in terms of floor plans, in terms of, I'll just give you an example on the next page, in terms of the bulleted points on the items that the board has identified as the key priorities. These haven't changed at all. These are simply the slides from previous presentations that we want to put in case you did have any questions this evening. So we have got the first being there, the representation for new construction, heavy remodel, and light remodel at the elementary school that you've looked at and prioritized as part of the proposed plan. You've got the middle high school, same thing, new construction in red there, remodel in gray. And you'll see there that we also noted deferred maintenance occurs within select non-shaded areas. And that's something we've talked about, and certainly as part of engaging with the community and getting the facts out there, we'll make sure we give them a lot of detail around the deferred maintenance. And then your old school gym, same thing, the new construction in terms of the storage addition, and then the remodel in terms of the stage area. And of course, in the white, there's a lot of deferred maintenance that's been identified as priorities as well. Did you want to touch on this at all, David?
Yeah, I will. Thank you. So working with Brian from Baird this week, and again, for those who are just tuning in, Brian was here a few months ago, gave a great presentation kind of on our options to the board, and saw the estimates at that point in time. This is the latest, greatest estimate as of Monday, the 15th. We had some new numbers on growth in our community, which is another factor that's factored in. So based on that, we saw an increase in growth to our community of about 10%, which we had factored in about 3%. So that was to our good, and we also, again, understanding our current market, gave ourselves a little bit larger cushion here with a 4.75% interest rate on the notes versus the 4.5 we were originally looking at. So the best estimate we have today is the $24 million. The referendum, if approved, would have about that 60 cents per $1,000 of valuation impact. And so it's showing $100,000 house, $200,000 house, $300,000 house, and that amount of $5, $10, or $15 per month, or the per year number there. So that is the most current updates. The last slide that you had seen with that information was still looking at a 24.5 and was looking at a 61%. So again, that change in the growth for the revenue worksheet and the increase in giving ourselves a little cushion on the interest rate, which is something that I think we've all had some concerns and had some conversations about. So we feel pretty good with that 60 cent number, and hopefully we can continue to improve it. This is the full worksheet of how that debt works out, shows the 60 cent impact down in that bottom right-hand corner. We are still talking about doing 2 different draws, and there are some advantages to that, basically, that we're able to take this and do it over 21 years instead of 20 years. It becomes a big part of that. The amount of those draws will depend largely on the interest rates and what the interest rates are doing at that point in time. If we want to get in before they go up more, then we take more. If we want to get in, be a little bit to get started, but we think they're headed down, that'd be a great thing, wouldn't it? We would maybe do less on the first draw and more on the second. So all of that is just kind of it's an estimate of what it would look like, similar sheets that you guys have seen in the past, but with the most current $24 million numbers. It does factor in the growth that we saw this year, that we got the information on Monday, but it also also factors in much less growth over the next few years and getting to the point where it's showing zero growth. So every time there's that growth, it actually helps that number, but we don't want to guarantee that that's happening. So we're pretty conservative in all of those estimates. As we talked through this, there is a real likelihood, if this resolution is approved, and we've talked about this, that we may look to approve two different budgets in October at our annual meeting, one if the referendum passes and one if the referendum does not pass. This is all figuring into that, and all of that will play into that final impact that we have as well. So more to come on that, but this is the base numbers based on that 24 million. Any questions on the information from Baird? Again, for the community or anybody who missed it, the presentation from Brian 2 months ago at our regular board meeting was outstanding and explaining the whole process a lot more eloquently than me. But I'm happy to answer questions if anybody has them. All right.
Okay. And then this final slide, we wanted to put this in to give you a visual representation of what we would certainly be communicating to the taxpayers in the district if you were to approve the resolutions. And if you look all the way to the right, that's essentially the $24 million referendum budget option that you're proposing. And I think the takeaway here is certainly David talked about the $60 annual impact, or $5 per month on $100,000 of value. But I think the interesting part is if you look at the dash line going left to right there, if the referendum were to be approved, it would mean you'd still be slightly below your 17-18 tax levels here in the district. And then that just gives folks a good representation going back a number of years there to 12-13, really what the district has done to help try and reduce the burden in terms of taxes on folks in the district. This was just the summary. Nothing's changed here either in terms of the numbers. And then, did you want to spend much time on this right now, or did you want to wait for your resolutions?
Yeah, I mean, this is, the next two items are our action items on the agenda where we will look at the two different resolutions. This is the question that would be on the ballot in the form that it would be on the ballot in November if approved. You guys have seen a draft of that leading up to tonight, but that shows the whole question. Leaves some flexibility. I think that's an important thing. We do have a significant amount of money built in for inflation, and we've got the money built, or the cushion, I guess, if you will, built in for what interest rates do. So depending on the scope of projects that we're able to do, this still gives us a little flexibility to make sure that we use that money wisely. So. Any questions at all on the ballot question?
And I know one of the final slides really was getting into what you asked me to come back to you with tonight was a little more meat on the bones with the communications component of engaging community. I'm happy to review that. You want to do that after you guys discuss resolutions?
Yeah, I think that would probably, okay. I think that would be fitting if we were to go on to the next two items, unless there's any other questions about the presentation. Otherwise, we can just move on to the first two action items there. Julie, you want me to kind of explain? Okay. So the first resolution, two different resolutions for us to put this on the ballot in November. The first one is the resolution and setting the amount of $24 million or not to exceed $24 million for the purpose. This is very similar to the referendum question. I think whoever would like to make the motion, we would ask that they read this whole resolution. The second resolution that we are going to see is setting the election date of November 8th and providing the sample ballots and all of those things that will go to the two county clerks. This week by Friday this week, we'll have them ready to go out to those folks. So if there's questions about either of those resolutions, again, you've seen the draft forms of them. The full resolution in B does have the sample ballots and everything attached to it. But basically, those are the two resolutions that have been prepared by Quarles and Brady for us and are ready for a vote tonight.
Does anyone have any questions or discussion?
Anybody?
Okay.
I will make a motion, or be it resolved by the school board of the School District of Bangor, La Crosse, and Monroe Counties, Wisconsin, that there shall be issued pursuant to Chapter 67 of the Wisconsin statutes, general obligation bonds in an amount not to exceed $24 million for the public purpose of paying the cost of a school building and facility improvement project consisting of construction of additions and renovations at the elementary school, middle and high school and old school gym, district-wide capital maintenance, building infrastructure, safety, security, and site improvements, and an acquisition of furnishings, fixtures, and equipment.
Motion made by Joni, seconded by Lori. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carried. The next resolution providing the referendum election question of the approval of the initial resolution for the date, November 8th.
I'll make a motion for the approval of the resolution for the November 8th ballot.
Got to read this right here.
Oh, I got to read that?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the resolution providing for a referendum election on the question of the approval of an initial resolution authorizing the issuance of general obligation bonds in amount not to exceed $24 million as presented.
Second.
Go ahead, Joni.
Motion made by Lori, seconded by Joni. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
All right, with that, if it's okay, what Kevin was saying is now, what will the communication look like from here on out? So I think if you're okay with that, we'll have him share a little bit about that presentation. Shelley,
Yeah, go
did you
ahead,
have a
Kevin.
question?
Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, Joni, or did you have a question, Shelley? Okay.
So this is essentially an expanded version, and you've got a printout in front of you, but this expanded version of essentially what at the last board workshop was initially presented to you in draft form. Again, if you look at the columns, it first focuses on management, then engagement with the community, digital tools, print tools, video, and media. And just direct your attention to the second row at the top. Really, everything within this plan is designed to have crystal clear messages delivered in a factual manner to everybody in the community, in the district. It's providing easy access to answers. And I think maybe the most important one on the right is go where the people are. And by that, we mean essentially not simply putting things on a website or offering to have them come into your buildings and see a presentation, but it's providing multiple tools that they can access when it's a good time for them, at the time where they would like to review those. And if they don't have an answer, something gets answered, they have easy access to it via many different methods. A couple things I'll point out. First of all, a big part of this is about division of responsibility. We're not looking to give any of your administrative team a part-time job in the next few months, although we'll be asking certainly for some help there. Neither of the board either, although certainly it is going to take some time to dedicate to engage with the community. We're going to have a kickoff meeting on Friday, early afternoon here at the district to essentially go through this and assign division responsibilities, refine some of the dates most likely that might make the right sense, and then make sure that we do a 2-week look ahead. In other words, what's happening in the next couple of weeks that we have to make sure, whether it's from my perspective, I need to be supporting you, or the district needs to take the lead on, or even perhaps we may need to ask for support from the board to get involved in some things. If you then look to the engagement column, and under timing, that first area, staff letter is highlighted. David has worked on putting a letter out fairly soon after this meeting to really get the staff back up to speed with additional detail, make sure that if they're getting stopped at a gas station, grocery store, you name it, that they've got the information. And what he's also going to do is explain to them as staff members what it is in a legal sense they're allowed to do versus not to do. And it really revolves around district resources, not expending district resources on advocating for any type of referendum for or against, but simply sharing the facts. And then as it goes through, there's a lot of tools, whether it be the things you might expect, website, but we'll have display boards in your entry by the time school starts. We'll have a fact sheet ready for staff and all the parents and everybody else to get access via, they can grab a paper copy, they can have it online. Get into video, get into David getting out, perhaps with your help to village board, town boards, some of the civic clubs, alumni groups, booster clubs, those types of things to make sure people have plenty of opportunity to get questions answered. So I know you got a big agenda tonight, so I don't want to be here till 9 o'clock going through everything, but I just wanted you to know that there is meat on the bones, so to speak, and we'll be back here on Friday to really dig into the details and really lay out what the next couple of months looks like leading up to November 8th.
Yeah, thank you. The communications for staff and a press release we have prepared, and I'll send those to you later this evening as they go out.
Thank you, Kevin. Anything else, David?
No, thank you. I appreciate that. Thanks for letting us do that in that order. It makes more sense that way.
Okay, thank you. So next, the 22-23 COVID response plan, and that can be found in your packets, page 31, 32. David?
Yeah, we are on one page front and back, so that's a good thing. I sat in on a county meeting on, I think it was yesterday. They're all kind of blurring together right now, and kind of heard where the county is. I've had superintendent meetings the last couple of days where the area schools are, and we are in line with the area. Right now, there is obviously much less concern about COVID-19. There are many cases of COVID-19. I think for us, as we have this conversation, the severity of cases, the impact, the hospitalization rate, the severity of symptoms that people are experiencing is pretty light right now, cold and flu-like, which allows us to really remove anything in here where we have requirements for masking or anything like that. We have some recommendations. We're still following if they're tested and they test positive, there is 5 days from symptom onset or the positive test that they would be out of school, and that would apply to our staff or students. Other than that, there is no contact tracing. There will no longer be a dashboard for the district, and really dial things back. There's the reporting to the counties. the reporting to the county has relaxed. We're in definitely a different phase. So that's an exciting thing. I feel it's important that we continue to have something in place. And obviously, if we see an increase in the severity, hospitalization, those types of things throughout the course of the year, we'll come back and talk. Otherwise, I think this plan allows us to function as close to that normal that we all hope for and I think experienced during parts of the year last year. So with that said, look for approval of that plan, and if there aren't any questions.
I'll make a motion to approve the 22-23 COVID Adaptive Response Plan effective 8/1/22.
I'll second.
Motion by Shelley, seconded by Lisa to approve the 22-23 COVID Adapted Response Plan effective August 1st, 2022. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. District goals, they are on page 33.
Yeah, the goals are there. I thought this would be a good opportunity to talk a little bit about the PLCs at Work conference that we attended last week. One of the things that's been very clear to me in the year that I've been here is the district's long-term commitment to the work of PLCs, to not only sending staff to be trained every year in Minneapolis, but also the commitment we've made in our schedule so that those Fridays are available for that work. And that's just been incredibly important. I had the opportunity to attend the conference this year with the team. And what we did was we made sure that we collected some of those those things that we need to do to improve our PLC process throughout the conference. So every attendee was texting me throughout the conference with their takeaways from the sessions that they were in. We pulled those all together, and then at the end of one of the days, we sat down and created the goals for our year. And where these are the action steps. This is what your administrators are focused on. This is what our PLC teams will be focused on this year. Just continuing to advocate for kids and for student learning. Those goals kind of lay out exactly what we're doing. So with that said, I mean, other takeaways or things on these goals, I know Lisa, I had kind of asked her to share with the board how she felt about going as a board member and things going forward. So I'll ask her maybe to share a little bit.
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you for including one of us. And, I found it to be very insightful. Between listening to the keynote speakers and the breakout sessions, those were great. But for me, being new, being able to maybe connect a few more dots with how things work, where we are at in the process, as you had mentioned, texting or compiling the one takeaway from every session we were in. But I think the most beneficial thing to me was when we sat down as a group and I got to hear the administrators, the teachers, describe their takeaway, why is it important? How are we going to implement it? And just seeing our staff, because we don't get to see the day-to-day in and out of how they work, and just see the passion that they all have for their job was, great to see. And for me anyway, just to, from the administrators all the way, to all the teachers, just, they were very engaged. I felt that like it was very beneficial for me as a board member. And I also feel it's super beneficial for our staff.
Thank you. You guys want to share anything about the goals or about the conference or anything like that?
I just want to intercede. Thank you, Lisa, for attending.
So yeah, the goals are there as Lisa, or excuse me, as Lori had talked about earlier. The first goal is a big one with lots of action steps and lots of things that we're specifically targeting with our PLC process. And the second one is just our, continuing to positively promote the Bangor School District and everything that we do, and having that in our mindset. So if there's no additional questions, we'd look for approval of those goals for the 22-23 school year.
I'll move to approve the Bangor School District goals for the 22-23 school year as provided in our materials.
Motion made by Joni, seconded by Shelley. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. David?
All right, yeah, and I had sent this out. Board, I know the board has had a chance to kind of review this a little bit. So the auditors came in August 1st. We really did get a good report from the auditors. One of the things that they looked at in the portion this year was where we still had records and things unreconciled exactly right with some bad checks that had been written to the district. And when we talk about bad checks that have been written to the district, the way we were recording them, we had record of them all the way back to 2008. And the auditors just felt it would be a better practice to remove those from your accounting sooner and do some type of reconciliation there. So we did have 5,874 broken between the general account and activity accounts for the most part, and the board has that whole breakdown. I think the largest check may have been like $150. Oftentimes, there's always an effort made to collect those. Some of the things that we identified is that if it was maybe for the lunch account, we may have identified that. Then the family sent in more money to put in their lunch account, and because that didn't go through Angie, it may have come back in, but it would have been credited to their account, or something not have done, not have been handled exactly the way that it should have that way. So we missed it. So we have cleaned up our process internally, following the recommendation of the auditors. We want to start over, and we will be more on top and take care of these as they come versus dealing with 12, 13 years of them all at once. So that's the recommendation of the auditors, and like to move forward with canceling out that bad debt.
I'll make a motion to write off the bad debt from 2008 to 2021 in the amount of $5,874.55 per the recommendation from the district financial audit.
Second.
Motion made by Lori, seconded by Joni. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you.
No personnel tonight.
Okay. Administrative reports. Mr. Chaplin.
The state hasn't done the updated on IDEA budget, so I don't have anything tonight.
Thank you. Mr. Johnson.
Thank you, Julie. Just some positives as we get ready for school over at the elementary. Just a couple donations, certainly this weekend, and Bangor Fun Days, and the community and the Stuff the Bus delivered a bunch of supplies. We had parents in there the last 2 days gathering up some needed items that they might have not been able to find at the local stores, that kind of stuff. They also gave us about, I think it was $55 cash to use towards our students for supplies, as well as Uncle Corey's scholarship. Last year they gave us at the elementary $300, and they stopped in again today or yesterday and donated a check for $300 to both the elementary and the high school. So they continue to support multiple districts. their family does. It's pretty awesome. It's always a good conversation, so I want to thank them. One I did not have on there, which was recently, was also Riverbank did a food drive for us at the elementary, dropped off a bunch of food as well as some cash money as well to use in our food pantry. So thank you to our community for continuing to support the Bangor School District.
Any questions for Mr. Johnson? Thank you. Mr. Mullenberg?
Thank you. Just a couple items. We did start the rest of our our high school athletics this week. Our numbers, we have kids that are out. For volleyball, we have 37. Football, we're at 39. Cheerleading, we have 12. And cross country, we have 11. So that is 99 students. And registration as of today, we had 203 students in the high school. So almost 50% of our students are out for one of our fall sports, which is always good to see. As far as registration goes, we came in today. I just talked to Melanie. We're at 344 students, 612. Last spring, we ended at 332. And we, our high school is down, our middle school is up. We had 23 new students come in, 12 students did not re-register. So we ended up, we had 54 seniors last year and only had 37 sixth graders coming up. So we knew we would be a net down of 17, but actually we're only down 10. So we're adding more students. So even though the numbers are a little bit down, they're not down as far as they would have been if we wouldn't have added.
Any questions for Mr. Mullenberg? Thank you.
We'll actually jump back. Mr. Johnson has his update on numbers as of
Sure.
as of
Go
today
ahead,
as well.
Mr. Johnson.
Yeah, sorry. I'm sitting at, as of today, 299. And last year we were at 264. Sitting at kindergarten is 42, kindergarten is 41, first grade's 38, second grade's 51, third grade is 48, fourth grade is 43, and fifth grade is 36. I can repeat any of those if you're curious about any of them.
What was the largest one?
Our current second grade is 51.
51.
Yeah, as many as, I think it was 9 new kindergartners this year.
Mike, where are we at with the 4K
42.
numbers? 42.
21 and 21.
And I don't know that we've had the kind of the threshold broken as of yet, but we're going to continue to monitor. As you know, we do have the position posted as needed. You know, if we get over that point, I think we're definitely watching 4K. I think our biggest watches is the first grade.
First grade is 19 and 19 right now.
So we will continue to watch that. I think at 19 and 19, that's kind of where we thought we would be, a little bit higher than we'd like to be. But, you know, if we get to that, hit that 2020 point or something like that, I think it becomes a pretty easy conversation to add another section, especially when you're up that many in a building. But I think at 1919, it's kind of where we thought we were going to be. I know we'd like to make the decision unless there's strong feeling from the board that you want to make the decision at 1919. But my recommendation would be we see what happens over the next couple weeks before we make that decision. All right, thank you. I have just a couple things on here. No, I didn't hit save on mine. The one thing I had on there, next Wednesday is our all staff back to school luncheon at 11 11:45, I believe, for luncheon. Board members are welcome. If you would let me know tonight or tomorrow if you're attending, I would post that if it's going to be more than 4. If there's just going to be a couple, come on along. But just please let me know if you plan on attending sooner than later so I can post it appropriately. And then the other thing, and I think I would be remiss if I did not at least say something, just a huge congratulations to our own Rick Mullenberg as being inducted into the Wisconsin Football Coaches Association Hall of Fame, class of 2023. So a huge honor for him, and I think representative of the entire program. And I know that he will continue to say that it was more than just him, but the whole program, the coaching staff, the kids, the families, and the support of Bangor athletics and the support of Bangor football. But well-deserved honor. That recognition dinner will be April 1st in Middleton, and the tickets are $45. And if people are interested in going with a group from the district, Gene and I can coordinate that. So you can let us know if you want us to order you tickets, and we can all go down and be there together to support Rick that night. So congratulations, Rick.
Congratulations, Coach Mullenberg. Okay, moving on, removal of items from the consent agenda. Consent agenda items include current openings, elementary handbook, and the hire of a 7th grade girls basketball coach. There's no removal. I ask for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Motion made by Shelley, seconded by Joni to approve the consent agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
No closed session.
I ask for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Lori, seconded by Shelley to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you.